Hello, I'm Shannon, and welcome to Soul Searching. We investigated the Missouri State Penitentiary, and we're here today to discuss and share our evidence with you. The Missouri State Pen was built in 1836, and it was an operating, functioning prison up until September 5th, 2004, when it closed its doors. So it operated for 168 years. It was nicknamed the Walls because it had stone walls built all around it. It was the only adult male maximum security prison in the state of Missouri up until 1989. Time magazine did an article on it in 1967, and they called it the bloodiest 47 acres in America. And the reason being is because the high number of stabbings that occurred there. Let's talk about the first 100 years. When the prison was first established in 1836, it had to come up with a system and how this prison was going to be run. And in 1816 in New York, Auburn had a prison, and they started what was called the Auburn system. Now, this approach to keeping inmates was one that was really harsh. They believed in complete silence. They believed in solitary confinement. They believed in corporal punishment. I can't even tell you how many inmates died in this prison just by being whipped and beaten. And they also believed in group labor. They believed that inmates didn't deserve really anything. And in fact, there were no tax money, so the inmates actually had to work to pay for their incarceration. Well, this was a brilliant idea for businessmen in industry. And so with the Missouri State Pen, it was built with nothing around it. But when this Auburn system was put into place, all kinds of businessmen built their factories inside the prison, and they also built their homes all around the prison. One of the biggest industries they had, it was the Missouri State Pen, was known for being the biggest shoe factory internationally. At the turn of the century, since they've been doing this, it was considered the most successful prison with this system in the United States. Today, some of the buildings are gone, and they've just been torn down because they were old. They needed to sell the property. And then some of the buildings just over the years were burned down, from fires. And this occurred, I think several buildings were lost during the 1954 riots that they had there. Now, the prison is there's only 3 prisons in the United States that allow the public to come in and tour. So the other 2 are Eastern State Penitentiary, and hopefully we'll get to go there someday, as well as Alcatraz. But Missouri State Pen, it was actually the longest operating prison west of the Mississippi. And when you go on a tour there, there's still buildings there that they don't let you go into. Some of the old factories still remain and all that sort of thing. But it's huge. So the 4 buildings they do let you explore, you'll spend hours there. They let you go into receiving when you first walk in there. And part of that is Unit 1. That's the first place we got to go. And originally that was the women's unit, but it didn't remain the women's because eventually women were no longer kept at the pen. And then there's Unit 4, A Hall, which was built to house Civil War prisoners. They let you tour that, and that's my favorite building. I love that building. I've been there twice, so this was my second trip to the pen. And then there's Unit 3, C Hall. And this building actually contains the oldest part of the penitentiary because they erected C Hall on top of what is known as Old Hall, which is the basement part. They left that when they tore the old building down. And so they left that basement part. And what's really cool about that basement part It's where you find death row, and you also find where they house the criminally insane. And then the last building they let you tour is the gas chamber. Because we are not scientific, we are just having an experience, we're going to talk about orbs, because a lot of people on this trip, we had 16 people on this trip, they captured orbs. They captured them on photography, and they captured them on video. There's one thing I want to talk about, though, is the reason why orbs are considered amateur evidence, because there's been studies done, and there's one that I found really informative. And when you read through the study and what they did to produce their evidence that orbs just aren't real, it's very convincing. Orbs, a load of balls.
We'll put a link in the description.
And it'll tell you why orbs are not good evidence. And I think we should state, though, in the 90s, prior to the 90s, people did get balls of lights and arcs on regular photography, and also on recordings too, because if you hear the term EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, they would capture that on regular cassette tapes. Remember the old tapes? But in the 90s, when they developed digital photography and digital recorders, more EVPs have been captured and more orbs have been captured. And it was just like an explosion when this first was starting happening. And the scientists, like I said, they did these studies. Check that one I mentioned out. They say it's dust, the light reflecting off dust, the light reflecting off moisture, the light reflecting off a bug. It could be any sort of thing that's just floating in the air. Your camera's light, or if you have a flashlight, reflects off of it. And like I said, they did these experiments. They used 2 cameras, and they are pretty sure they proved that orbs are not paranormal. However, I like the what if, and I like the experience, and I still think they're interesting to look at. Mm-hmm. What do you think about orbs?
They're probably just dust, let's be honest. Because especially, going through, a really old place like the State Pen.
Yeah, it had a lot of dust.
A lot of dust. And
it had the moisture, too, because it was on the Missouri River.
Mm-hmm. And then, also, because it's, kind of, half outside, and it's, springtime, you got bugs that are so tiny and all that.
That's true. There could have been bugs because of the time of year we went there. So anyway, I like the what if. So I'm going to show you guys some of the orbs the people who are with us captured. So this is the first one. This is Darla. She was in a cell, and this is in Unit 1. And she said that when she was in the cell that she just had the feeling that there was something inhuman with her in that cell. Pretty cool, huh?
It looks like light just bouncing off the lens.
Well, it's a lot of orbs are that. And then if you notice that in the cell, in all the cells there, they used really shiny paint. Always on the walls.
My theory is that it's just a lens flare. It just looks like a weird lens thing.
Yeah, it could be. It makes sense that's that, but I still think it's pretty cool. This is also in Unit 1, and these are pictures that Danielle caught in the shower area of Unit 1. What do you think of that? Again, see the shiny paint?
Yeah, it looks like dust.
Could be.
And it looks like she took a picture while her camera was moving.
It is a little blurry, and it seems to me if the blurrier the photo, more the orbs seem to show up. But I still think it's really cool. Okay. But those are orbs. Are they paranormal? According to scientists, probably not. But then a lot of people, they think they're angels. They think they're spirits. A lot of people see faces in them. Sometimes they have color. But what's also interesting, in that same area where Danielle caught those pictures, Kristen got a video, and there's 3 orbs in this video. Kristen captured this video the same time Danielle captured her photos.
Looks like dust.
You think it's dust?
It's dust.
It moves pretty quick, though. I was thinking maybe a bug could be an explanation, but I'm pretty impressed by it. I like it. I like the experience. I like the what if. You bring this home from a haunted place, these pictures, these videos, you're like, yeah, I did something paranormal.
Or it was dust.
When we went outside, we left Unit 1, which is the women's cell block. There was a beautiful full moon going on. So this photo was taken outside when we left Unit 1. And Kathy, also known as Catherine, she didn't say this was an orb because I really don't think it's an orb. What I think we're seeing here is just a reflection of the full moon on her picture. See that little green spot?
Yeah, it's definitely that.
Yeah, that's what I think that is. But it's a very nice picture. But the reason why I brought it up is because there were some people who did capture orbs, and there was another person who had that green spot. This is Darla again. See how the picture's blurry? Is it blurry because the camera was focusing on orbs? Or is it the orbs there because the camera was blurry? Or maybe dirty lens.
I think she was moving while she was taking the picture.
Or maybe it just was all blurry in the background.
Or another thing, too, is that it kind of looks like scratches on her lens.
Yeah. So, I mean, the scientists would throw this out, but I think it's pretty cool. Okay. And then I think we got a couple from Michelle that she took the moon to and got orbs. See, there's that green spot again in the middle. Do you think that's that green spot again? From the moon reflecting. Yeah. And then
there's probably a term for that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Again, we're not scientists. So, but I think these are really cool. And then I have one final photo. Jennifer submitted this beautiful picture of the full moon, but notice how there's no blur. There's no orbs. But again, maybe it was blurry in the background because the camera was focusing on the orbs. It's possible. I like orbs.
Or cell phone cameras are not appropriate.
Next up, we're in Unit 3, and that's where death row and the criminally insane part is. And this is Carrie. Carrie caught these orbs. And that's the stairway heading down to what's Old Hall. That's the oldest part of the prison. Look at them all coming in there. It's like snow.
Almost like dust.
Yeah, they do say that if you get orbs that look like snow, that typically that's probably dust. Kind of cool, hey? I like orbs.
You're orb lady.
So, okay, and here's another video from Carrie.
It was amazing. And I asked him, I said, come closer. Oh, brother, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Oh yeah. Brother, same here. Let's go down, down to the river.
It's like it's raining
pray.
Holy
I went down to the river to pray. Studying about those bacon.
Let me tell you something about Carrie. She's a witch, and she's also a spiritualist, and she gets the spirits going through singing and chanting, and so that's why we enjoyed a little bit of her singing there. So what did you think about those orbs?
Dust.
Dust. Okay. You know there are other causes of orbs, bugs and
Most
moisture.
common is dust.
It was a very dusty place.
Because it's very old. As you were saying.
They don't clean it. Nobody comes in there and sweeps and vacuums or anything like that.
Dust.
Oh, wait. You got an orb. I almost forgot your orb. In A-Hall. The one that was built for the Civil War prisoners. Bring your orb up. I bet you didn't know you got an orb.
Dust can happen to anybody.
Did you see it?
Yes.
What did you think about that?
Dust.
You know, I was thinking it also might be somebody's flashlight. Not to rain on your orb.
Oh, I got enough rain. I got rain for days.
But once you play that slow down, we might be able to tell better. You know, I don't know.
Looks like...
I like it. I like your orb.
You know what I think it might be?
What?
It looks like like a fuzzy piece of lint.
I don't know. It's kind of cute. Looks like it's got wings almost.
You're not gonna tell me. Oh wait, it's a bug. It might be a bug.
Could be. I like it though. But again, I like orbs. One other thing I want to touch on though before we get into the actual investigation part of everything is mist. And we got a couple of people who got mist. And if you pull up the first one, that should be Darla. She caught a light mist, and this is in A-Hall. Darren, what do you think that is?
It looks similar to like one of the moving orbs you got before.
You think? I just think
also
it's
known as dust.
And let me explain to you, all the lights were off. So even though it looks bright, like it's lit up, we were pretty much in complete darkness during most of our investigation. But it almost looks to me like, you know how when you're looking at a window and dust is floating through the air and the sun hits it? It kind of looks like that. So I'm almost thinking that's dust floating through the air, and then when her flash hit it. So maybe, but what if? I mean, you come up with an explanation, but it still could be paranormal, you know?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you're going to be more impressed with Kristen's dark mist. This is also in A-Hall. Now, you say, oh, well, it just got dark down the hallway, right? Well, look at these red poles that are here on the railing. And see how it disappears once you get to there? And then the next one starts to disappear. Then you see no more of the red railing. I want you to pull up now Jennifer's picture, which is not a dark mist, but is taken, it's a similar shot down a dark hallway. But see how the railings all appear still. They don't get covered up.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
It could be shadow.
Shadow from what? There's no lights on. Except for the camera
flash.
light.
You can use, just flash does weird things. And considering they're different cameras too, it could be different, like, absorption of light too.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm going to call it a dark mist.
You do that.
Okay.
Just absolutely horrible. It was a horrible existence for the people that live there.